Today, we're looking at surface area of prisms and cylinders. Your essential question is, how do I apply formulas to find quantities? Your learning intention, I'm learning to find surface area of figures. You've got two warm-up questions. Find the area of these two figures. One is a trapezoid and one is a triangle. So, do you remember the formula for the area of a trapezoid? Your area is equal to 1/2 of your base 1 plus your base 2 multiplied by your height. Okay, I gave you the formula. Can you plug and chug and get the answer? Identify B1, identify B2, identify your height, and plug the numbers in. Well, I hope you tried. If we're looking at the first one, B1 is either 30 or 56. It doesn't matter which. B2 is the other one, so it'll have to be 56 for me. Your height goes from one base to the other, and that is equal to 12. Now, can you put it into the formula and solve? Applying the formula, my area is equal to 1/2 of 30 plus 56 times 12. Okay, I'm going to put it into my calculator all at once. Instead of 1/2, I'm going to use the decimal equivalent, 0.5 times parentheses 30 plus 56, close my parentheses, then times it by 12. And we get 516. So the area is 516. And that would be units squared. We don't know if we're in feet, yards, miles. So we just use U for units, and they've got to be squared because it's area. How do you find the area of a triangle? Hopefully you can remember that one. Your area is your base times your height divided by 2. So my base is 16. My height is 13. So my area will be 16 times 13 divided by 2. Plugging and chugging, 104. This time we know it is feet squared. Hopefully you were able to do the triangle one on your own. If not, you might want to do some practice on finding the area of triangles. So next we get to do a definition. So we're going to define what surface area is. Surface area is the area of all the faces and curved surfaces of a three-dimensional figure. So your formula for surface area of a prism is PH plus 2B. P is your perimeter, H is your height, and capital B is the area of the base. The formula for surface area of a cylinder is the same, actually, believe it or not. Because if you're thinking of a cylinder, your perimeter would be the circumference of your circle, which is 2 pi r, then times your height, and that will give you that curved surface. The area of your bases, the bases are circles, so it's pi r squared, and you've got two of those. So this is for a prism, this is for a cylinder. You could actually use the prism one for the cylinder also. So if we're looking at the perimeter, we're going to plug and chug. So I've got this figure down here. This would be my perimeter. This would be my height. And then I would have to find the area of the base. So for my perimeter, it will be 10.5 times, and there's two sides that are 10.5 times 2 plus 8 times 2 oops and you end up with 37. So my perimeter is 37. My height will be 12. My base area, the area of that base, is 8 times 10.5, which is 84, and this will be centimeters squared. Now, if I want to put it all together, my surface area is my perimeter, 37, times my height, which is 12, plus 2 times my base area, which is 84, and plugging and chugging, it's 612. And that will be centimeters squared. Okay, looking at the next one. It's a cylinder, and we have to know the radius and the height. So, is 14 the radius? No, 14 is the diameter. So your radius would be 14 divided by 2, which gives me 7. Then my height is 8. So I've got my radius, I've got my height, time to plug and chug. My surface area is 2 pi 7 times 8 plus 2 pi 7 squared. Now, I want to leave the pi in my answer. So I'll pull out pi, and in my calculator I'm going to put 2 times 7 times 8 plus 2 times 7 squared and you get 210 pi, that would be kilometers squared. Now, if I wanted to know how much that was approximately, I would just simply take and multiply that by pi, and you get 659.7. And that would be kilometers squared. Any questions? If you have questions, back it up. Okay, so let's look at the next one. We know what the surface area is, and we need to find the height. So we're still going to use the equation, but we know that 128 pi is equal to 2 pi, let's see, times my radius. But what is my radius? Times 4, then times my height, plus 2 pi times my radius squared. Okay, I want to try to make that a little bit easier. What does all three of these terms have in common? What factors are common to all three of those terms? Well, that would be 2 pi. So I'm going to multiply everything by 2 pi, or divide everything by 2 pi. Okay, half of 128 would be 64. 64 is equal to 4 times my height plus 4 squared, which is 16. If you're looking, the pi's cancel out, 2 pi cancels out, 2 pi cancels out, and that shows you where those numbers come from. Step 1 in solving. I need to do what? I need to subtract 16 from both sides. Okay, 64 minus 16. Whoops, that doesn't say 64. I get 48. 48 is equal to 4h. Last step is 2. Divide by 4. And 12 is equal to my height, and that would be 12 meters. Any questions? If you wanted to check, you would plug and chug into the formula. If you're still struggling, back the video up and watch it again. So, we're looking at radians and degrees. So, 2 pi radians is equal to 360 degrees. But what is a radian? A radian is the ratio. Ratio means we're making a fraction of the length of a circular arc to the radius of the arc. So if you notice, 2 pi radians is 360 degrees. 1 radian is equal to pi divided by 180. 1 degree is equal to pi divided by 180 radians. 1 radian is equal to its reciprocal in degrees, multiplied by the reciprocal. So if we're wanting to know how many radians 150 degrees is, we take 150. We're going to multiply it by 1 degree is pi over 180. And that gives me 150 over 180, and this will be radians. Now, I need to simplify that number. So if I want to simplify, I type it in, 150 divided by 180, hit my math button, hit enter, and hit enter again, and it is 5 over 6 So this is 5 pi over 6 radians. Okay, what about if I want to go the other way? What if I have it in radians? What do I do? 35 pi over 18 times 180 over pi. Now, the pi's cancel out. Pi divided by pi is 1. So I'm left with, see, this will cancel because 18 will go into 180 10 times. And I've got 35 times 10. 35 times 10 is 350. So this would be 350 degrees. So that kind of shows you how to convert between the two. And it's helpful when you get into higher math to know a little bit about it, or at least have been exposed. So next we're going to look at arc length and the area of a sector. An arc and a sector are not 100% of the circumference or 100% of the area of a circle. So if you're looking at this, for your arc length, it's theta degrees. How many degrees are we looking at? Divided by 360 times 2 times pi times your radius. So you have to know what your theta is, and you have to know what your radius is. So looking at the next one, how many degrees? Theta will be equal to 315 degrees. What is my R? 11 feet. Putting it all together, this becomes 315 divided by 360. That's the fraction of the circle we're looking at, times 2 times pi times 11. Now, I want to make my first number exact, which means I'm going to put pi at the end, so I'm not going to put pi in my calculator, but I'm going to put all the other numbers in my calculator. So as I'm looking at this, in parentheses, 315 divided by 360. 360 is the whole circle, times 2 times 11. And we get 19.25. That would be 19.25 pi. And that would be feet. Well, that can be approximately, if I take 19.25 and times it by pi, I get 60.475, which is about 60.48. And that will be feet. So in this case, we had a picture, we had to look at it. On the next one, it is giving us all the information. So all we do is to put it into our formula. Can you put those numbers into the formula? Pause the video and write it up in the formula. Well, I hope you tried to do it on your own. So I'm looking at theta. This is 60 divided by 360 times 2 times pi times 18. First time I'm going to put the numbers in only and followed by pi. So in parentheses, 60 divided by 360 times 2 times 18, and I get 6. So this is equal to 6 pi centimeters. And of course, 6 pi centimeters can be reduced down, or can be approximated. I'm just going to take 6, I'm going to multiply it by pi, and I get 18.849, which is about 18.85 centimeters. Is that what you got? Were you able to do that one on your own? Okay, the area of a sector, or a part of a circle, the area part of a circle. A sector is just kind of like this piece of a circle, not the whole thing. But the area of a sector is found, you start off the same way with that fraction of a circle that you need, then you times it by pi r squared. Pi r squared is the area of the whole circle. This is the fraction you're looking for. So the first one's going to be easy to do because it tells us our radius, it tells us our degrees. Plug and chug. 60 divided by 360 times pi times 7 squared. Okay, the first time I'm going to leave pi out of the equation because I want to know exactly what my area is. So parentheses 60 divided by 360, that's my fraction of the circle, and then times 7 squared, which is my radius squared. It is 8.1666, so that is approximately 8.2. Or we can do 8.17. So I can't use equal because it's not equal. And this would be kilometers. What is this when I put the pi in? It's approximately. So now to have a more precise number, I'm going to hit times pi, and you get 25.656, approximately 25.66. kilometers. And this would be squared because it's area. For the last one, we need to know our radius. What is our radius? Radius is 19. What is my theta? 150 degrees. Plug and chug. So 150 divided by 360, these are degrees, times pi times 19 squared. Putting it into the calculator. Parentheses, 150 divided by 360 times 19 squared, and you get 150.42 about. And this would be feet squared. What is it approximately? Okay, I'm going to leave the number in my calculator to be a little bit more precise, and then just simply hit times pi, and I get, whoops, times pi, and I get 472.55 about. Once again, it is feet squared because it is area. How do you know you're successful? You know you're successful when you can find the surface area of any figure. So we went through a lot today. We went through surface area of prisms. I've misspelled prisms. Prisms and cylinders. Then we converted between radians and degrees. And then we found the arc length and sector area of the sector. So as you're working through the practice, make sure you take a minute and look at the notes. Reread the notes and think about everything that's happened.